In a previous video, I spoke about why I've been embracing certain mid-range luxury bags. If you're new here, I used to buy luxury bags only from the high-end luxury brands such as Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton. I still enjoy these handbags and they're still in my collection, but I'm now also very open to designer bags from the lower price range. And let me tell you, certain pieces are absolutely worth the money. However, not all mid-range luxury brands are created the same. Michael Kors, for example, falls in this price range as well, but I personally would not be buying any bags from them. Now, Michael Kors have actually been doing really well in the market, at least in terms of sales and profit. In fact, the company bought Jimmy Choo in 2017 for about $1 billion. And then in 2018, they bought Versace for $2.12 billion. So there's no denying that they are really growing their empire. However, the feedback about the brand hasn't been very welcoming in the industry. From my research, many people are not crazy about their designs. I hope I'm not offending anyone here, but truthfully, I find a lot of the designs to be quite tacky. First of all, I think they use their logo or monogram a bit too much, too often. Their pieces give you the feeling that they've not put that much effort into designing the bags. This is probably because as soon as they add their logo or monogram, they can easily sell their bags at a certain price range, which I'm sure will guarantee them a very healthy profit margin. They probably don't even think there's anything wrong with this. After all, they've already established themselves in the industry and there's clearly demand for their pieces. All that being said, the design is not the only reason why I'm not buying their bags. I mean, you could argue Louis Vuitton handbags have a lot of monogram elements as well. In fact, I have 3 Louis Vuitton monogram handbags and I've been enjoying all of them. So my issue with Michael Kors is not just the fact that they can be quite loud, but also their quality. Years ago, and I'm talking about 14 years ago, I actually thought about getting a bag from them to use as a work bag. I believe it was the Selma, and back then it was selling for about £250. Anyway, I clearly remember I was quite excited to try out the bag, but when I saw the bag in person, I wasn't particularly impressed and I thought it wasn't worth the price tag. And because I was quite disappointed, I haven't been checking out Michael Kors handbags since then. So to be fair, I'm not quite sure if their quality has improved or declined in between that time. If you have any idea, please let me know. Before I go further, I should clarify that when I speak about Michael Kors in this video, I'm mainly referring to their Diffusion line, which is Michael by Michael Kors. This line features pieces with a lower price range. Typically, their handbags are between £100 to £400. In comparison, the handbags from the original Michael Kors collection are usually between £1,000 to £2,000. Now, if you have a look at their website, it's not hard to see that the cheaper Diffusion line has now heavily dominated the original Michael Kors label. Now, Michael Kors actually started as a luxury brand in the early 80s, but by mid-90s, they had to move to a lower price range after a period of financial problems. So all was good, but then everything changed in 2004 because this was when the cheaper Diffusion line, Michael by Michael Kors, was launched. A lot of people think this was when Michael Kors really started to spiral downwards. Let me explain. So when this cheaper line came out, their strategy was to distribute these pieces on a massive scale, first throughout US and then worldwide. This is why you can now see Michael Kors pieces almost everywhere, such as TK Maxx, Macy's, and many other outlets and department stores. Now you would think this is good news for Michael Kors because they now have so many channels to sell their pieces. But the truth is, when they supply their pieces to so many places, it means they've lost control over things like promotions, sales, and discount. In fact, it feels like their pieces are constantly on sale. If you go to their website, a lot of their handbags are always discounted, sometimes as much as 60%. At this point, Michael Kors feels like an outlet brand, so it must be challenging for them to sell anything from a new collection at full price. Not to mention, Michael Kors now have no control over how their handbags are displayed in these department stores. For example, I went to a place called House of Fraser here in the UK to check out the Michael Kors Selma. And honestly, the bag wasn't displayed in the most appealing way. It was placed on the top shelf with many bags from different brands, and everything just looked a little messy. Looking back, this might have been one of the reasons why I didn't feel like the bag was worth the money. Perhaps if the bag was showcased in a different way, my thoughts about the bag might have been different. Who knows? But one thing I'm sure about is that a Louis Vuitton bag wouldn't look as attractive in a different setting with a different lighting. Another issue with this kind of wide distribution is the complete lack of exclusivity. And I think this has really affected the brand image for Michael Kors and not in a good way. Now, exclusivity comes in different forms. Hermes Birkin bags feel exclusive because you need to have a purchase history to buy one. Chanel feels exclusive because you cannot buy their pieces online. Louis Vuitton feels exclusive because you can only buy their pieces in the store or on their very own website. And one thing these brands have in common is that they don't have outlet stores. Obviously, these are higher-end luxury brands, so I know I'm not comparing apple to apple. But if you look at other brands like Mulberry, Chloe, Prada, Saint Laurent, and so on, these brands don't actually strictly sell in their stores or on their websites. In fact, a lot of these brands are available on luxury websites such as My Teresa, Net-a-Porter, Farfetch, and so on. So technically, you have fairly easy access to these pieces, but the difference is they are not everywhere, whereas Michael Kors pieces are almost omnipresent at this point. This is why when Michael Kors took over Versace, some of the Versace fans were very concerned because right after the acquisition, Versace announced they were going to open 100 new stores, and in order to attract new customers, they're also planning to expand their accessory and shoe collections. This is quite similar to what they did with Michael by Michael Kors in the sense that expansion is their top priority. So you can understand why some people might be a bit worried that with this kind of aggressive growth plan, Versace might become the next Michael Kors. There's also been criticism about Michael Kors copying the designs of other luxury brands. For example, they came out with this crossbody bag when the Louis Vuitton multi-pochette accessoire was really trending. Now, in all fairness, designer brands have been imitating each other for a long time. In fact, that is how luxury brands cash in on ongoing trends. For instance, Prada also has a very similar design like the Louis Vuitton multi-pochette accessoires. And what about this Louis Vuitton on-the-go bag that looks like the Dior book tote? And this Saint Laurent bag that looks like the Hermes Kelly bag? And this Coach bag that looks like the Fendi baguette? So I'm not defending Michael Kors whatsoever. But clearly, they are not the only brand drawing inspirations from others. It seems like Michael Kors are aware that they might not have the best brand image. I've heard that they are now trying to re-establish themselves as a higher-end luxury brand. Apparently, they are now reducing the number of outlets and limiting the discount options from department stores. I think they have a very long way to go before we change our perception about them as a brand. But then again, they could just keep doing what they've been doing because clearly they've been making a lot of money. Personally, I cannot see myself buying any handbags from Michael Kors. I think at this price range, there are so many other good alternatives that we can consider. I've mentioned about Atelier's August before, and I really enjoy their belt bag and shoulder bag. All their pieces are incredibly well made and such good value for money. I also really like Cuyana, especially if you're looking for a very simple tote bag. Another one is the Curated. I especially adore the looks of their very minimal shoulder bag. What all these bags have in common is that they all don't have a very prominent logo. And I really like that they look quite low-key, but you can just tell they are beautifully made with good materials. If you're interested in exploring more mid-range luxury brands, I've done a very thorough review for 6 affordable mid-range luxury bags, and I'll leave the link up here. I think you'll find that quite helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, and I will see you soon.
어떻게 된 거니 정말 이별인 거니 바람 좁혀지지 않던